The anticipation, nerves, and excitement of a new college football season are gone. Now comes the hard part, the in-season grind. Any number of programs had a great opener. Ohio Florida State dropped a metaphorical bomb on most expectations with a dominant upset over Alabama. Thanks to the expanded college football playoff, teams now have a greater margin for error, meaning a single loss is no longer a season ender. However, no genuine contender can afford a terribly slow start. Week 2 provides that bounce back opportunity for teams such as Texas, Clemson, Alabama, and so on. And Michigan's trip to Oklahoma headlines what is otherwise a slow and quiet weekend full of lower division matchups. Hey there, welcome everybody to the Week 2 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him back with us tomorrow night for the season premiere of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. After a very exciting slate of Week 1 games, unfortunately, this time around, well, we got dealt the short straw this week. But we do have one big-time game this week, and it's one that MF and Michael Bullock will have a most vested interest in, if you know what I mean. So, without any further, and of course, as an added bonus here tonight, we're also going to preview tomorrow night's NFL game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers from the Corinthians Arena in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We'll have more on that in a little bit. So without any further ado, let's dive on in. And we went from having, now last week on the show, I believe we only covered 2 Saturday games that were at 12 noon, only 2. Let's try 8 this week, shall we? We got 8 top 25 games at 12 noon. And we're going to start it off with the first matchup. And it features the number 2 Penn State Nittany Lions. They are once again at home at Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley. And they are going to be hosting the Panthers of Florida International. And you can find this game over on the Big Ten Network. Guy Haberman and Yogi Roth will be on the call for that game. And Penn State is opening up as a 41.5 point favorite. Penn State steamrolled Nevada 46-11 to begin the season and is a gargantuan favorite once again. Expect another rout for the Nittany Lions. Penn State rolls, another easy win. Final score 48-10. Penn State all over Florida International. Nothing more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. After a very exciting week 1, we had a lot of great matchups last week, including that big triple main event. Unfortunately, well, as we always say, back to reality. We got the short straw, and this is going to be the theme of the week. A lot of dud matchups, and here's one of them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. First off, I want to say hello everybody, welcome. I also want to let you guys know I'm actually using a new laptop, so if it sounds a little wonky, if it sounds a little weird, I apologize in advance. I'm still trying to get through the kinks and of this new laptop, but it is amazing. And I don't have to use the cell phone anytime soon, so. I'm going to be using this, and hopefully it comes out really well. And so, first off, I want to say is that yes, I do agree with what you just said, Anthony. I do believe that this should be an easy win. And for Penn State, they dominated their first game. A lot of people are wondering how on earth they're not number 1. Even though the way that it broke down the whole 9 yards. Some people are claiming, that Penn State should be number one, not the team at number one. But, I digress. There should be not much of an argument here. Penn State will dominate. They'll win this game pretty easily. Nothing more to say. Florio, what's yours?
All right, MF, and we move on to our next 12 noon game. And it features the now number 7 Texas Longhorns at home, their home opener, Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium in Austin. And they're going to be hosting the San Jose State Spartans. And this game will be over on ABC with our boy, Mr. Joe Tessitore, alongside of Jesse Palmer and the lovely Katie George. And Texas opening up as a 36.5-point favorite. MF, they were number 1.
Yep.
They lost to Ohio State in the horseshoe in a lower than expected scoring game, but alas, it happened. And they're going to be, it's their home opener, 36.5-point favorite. San Jose State coming in. 3 words: get right game.
Yeah, and definitely for Arch Manning, this needs to be the get right game because he was horrible. 17 of 30, 170 yards, had a touchdown, had a pick. It definitely not the greatest performance. The defense showed up, but the offense was stuck in neutral the whole night. And that really absolutely kind of stung Texas to the point that they just never recovered. And, they were just offensively, they just did not have it. Defensively, they were stout. Going up against Ohio State and doing what they did, you got a lot of positives coming out of the defensive side of the football. But offensively, yeah, not a good night for them. So now you kind of have to feel like it's a bounce back. Hopefully it's a bounce back, but we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, Anthony, I think Texas will bounce back and they'll win this one pretty handily. So nothing more to say. It's yours.
Arch Manning struggled in his much anticipated debut as the Longhorns full-time QB1, but he should have a big afternoon on Saturday. San Jose State lost at home to Central Michigan in week 1. Texas rolls 49-6. I have Texas all over San Jose State. So not much more to say on that one. We move on to our next matchup. I'm going to tell you, I know we got a lot of games this week, but I'm going to put this in the sleeper category here. This could be a sneaky good matchup here. You may not know it, but it could be. The now number 11 Illinois Fighting Illini, and they're going to be on the road against the Duke Blue Devils at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium in Durham. And this game is actually going to be on ESPN. And on the call for that game will be Dave Patch, Dusty Dvoracek, and Taylor McGregor. And Illinois opening up as only a 3-point favorite here. So we got to keep an eye on this one, guys. We really do. So just bear with me for a moment here. Okay, they put it in another section. All right. For both programs, the path to relevance truly begins with a Week 2 win. Illinois has college football playoff aspirations, and Duke is hoping transfer quarterback Darian Mensah can spark an ascent. With a veteran roster, I expect Illinois to handle the challenges of a road game. However, Duke presents a real threat in what may be a low-scoring game. But nonetheless, I am actually going to go with Illinois to win this game. I got Illinois winning this one. Close game. 24-20. Illinois defeats Duke in Duke. So not much more to say. MF, I know it's not the most exciting matchup. I get it's not the most attractive.
Yep.
But this one screams sleeper matchup to me for some odd reason.
This also screams upset alert because of the fact that Duke is a feisty team. Duke is one of those teams there. You take them for granted because you think of them as a college basketball school. You
Of course.
don't think of them, huh?
Of course.
And the way that they play it, all right, fine. But Duke can definitely cause some ruckus in the house if they put their things together. If they come out and do what they need to do, they could upset. They really could. I think Illinois will win it. I think it's going to be closer. It's going to be a close game because I think Duke is going to really want to show the country that, A, we're not just a random college basketball school, that we actually have some pretty good guys on our football squad. And they've done, there's been some moments where they have pulled an upset or two in that field. So I think Duke could definitely make this a game out of it, but I think Illinois will flex the muscle, the Big Ten power that they are, and I think they're going to continue that wave of showing the rest of the country that, hey, the Big Ten is here to stay, and now we are the number one conference on college football. Forget about the SEC; it's about the Big Ten now. So, Florio, it's yours.
And you have a valid argument there because the Big Ten, has won the national championship the last 2 years. So,
yep.
And of course, it's the two most well-known teams of the Big Ten: Michigan 2 years ago, and Ohio State last year. So,
yeah,
looking for a three-peat. We'll see what happens. I know MF's hoping for it, but we'll see. And of course, Big Ten. When you think of Illinois and Duke, you cannot help but think about the legendary Big Ten ACC Challenge in the hoops.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Yep.
And MF, we all know you're all over that. So
yeah.
So all right. Let's see. Next up, the toast of the college football world a week ago, back in the top 25 after a hard time season last year where they went 2-10. The now number 14 Florida State Seminoles back in the top 25. They're at home once again at Bobby Bowden Field at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, and they're going to be welcoming the Lions of East Texas A&M. And this game can be found over on the ACC network with Jorge Sedano and Rodney McLeod. I do not have a spread, but you got to imagine Florida State's got to be a sizable favorite. And why not, MF? Look what Florida State did to Bama in the shocker of week 1.
Absolutely. I mean, did anybody think that was actually going to happen? No. But talk to Florida State. They believed it. Their fan base believed it. And we kind of chuckled at them saying, yeah, right. Come on, guys. You haven't had a relevant moment in a number of years. No, we forgive you. We're sorry we doubted you. And oh boy, the ACC just got very interesting. If this FSU team keeps it up, they might be the ones to end up in the college football playoff. I mean, that was a performance of a lifetime, and they absolutely did an incredible job. Florida State, look, their quarterback that was a transfer. He went out and said, we are going to destroy Alabama. And then he backed it up and then some. He single-handedly kicked Alabama's butt on Saturday. And yes, there was a stampede. I loved it. But then the grumbles showed up. The ACC finding Florida State $50,000 for security breach for the fans running on the field. Are you flipping kidding me? 50 grand? Really?
After everything they went through?
Oh, man. I would like... I know Florida State is like, you know what? No problem. We'll pay it. We'll gladly pay the 50 grand fine because it was Alabama, bro. And the way they won that game, Come on. You think for 1 second the fans were not going to run on the field on that one? Come on.
Nope.
SVP, the Port Authority on the Stampede, and myself, the vice chairman of the Stampede Committee. We both were like, yeah, this was worthy of the Stampede. We you know, there's certain times where we're like, yeah, no, I think you didn't need the Stampede. That deserved it. Yup. And the thing was, they didn't do anything wrong. They ran on the field. Did they knock down the goalposts like they did in Tennessee? No. They just ran on the field and that was it. And nobody got hurt. Everything was fine. Come on, ACC. I know you implemented this new rule, but come on, bro. Relax on the throwing out the fines here. Easy. But Florida State should win. Nothing more to say. I needed to get off the chest because I heard about Anthony sending out the Stampede. Then I heard about the fine, and Florio, you knew the fine was gonna annoy me, and it did.
Annoys me too. I mean, think of what Florida State has been through. I mean, 2023 had an incredible season. And then their star quarterback suffers a gruesome injury. And it's because of that the College Football Playoff Committee leaves them out when they deserve to be in. But it is what it is. And then if that wasn't bad enough, last year, they had one of the worst seasons they've had in forever. I can't remember the last time Florida State was that bad. A dismal 2-10 a season ago. And then this year, they started off and they took it to the Alabama Crimson Tide. They ran them out of their own stadium. Ran them out of Bobby Bowden Field. And let me tell you, Bobby Bowden was grinning like a Cheshire cat from heaven above when he saw that. I mean, man alive. But anyways, to the business at hand here, Florida State is riding the emotional high of hammering Alabama and putting the 2024 nightmare squarely in the past. The goal now is settling into the season. SMU toppled FCS school East Texas A&M 42-16 last weekend. I'm afraid it's going to be a lot worse. It's going to be a little bit worse this time around. Florida State's going to win this one, and they're going to win this one going away. 45-7. Florida State all over East Texas A&M. Moving on to our next game. Well, here's another one of the few. We don't have many exciting matchups, like I said, but this is actually one of the few good ones here. The Battle of Iowa. Big noon Saturday on Fox. The number 16 Iowa State Cyclones hosting the Iowa Hawkeyes. Jack Trice Stadium, Ames, Iowa. And if it's big noon Saturday on Fox, you already know who's working that. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, and the All-American girl Jenny Taft. Iowa State opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Honestly, it could go either way. It really can. But this matchup will likely come down to whether Iowa's passing game can threaten Iowa State. Ideally, the Hawkeyes would control the clock on the ground and force Iowa State into a low possession slog. But I'm not quite sold on Iowa sustaining drives by picking up a few third and longs through the air. And I liked what I've seen from Iowa State, especially a couple weeks ago when they went into Ireland and knocked off a very good Kansas State team. I'm very high on Iowa State right now. So high that I am going to go with Iowa State to win this game. Give me Iowa State to win this one, 23-13. 23-13. I got Iowa State defeating Iowa in the Battle of Iowa. So, not much more to say, MF. Another one of the few good matchups of week 2, the Battle of Iowa. Number 16, Iowa State. They're at home against Iowa. Can Iowa State keep the hot streak going? I think they can.
I believe so too. I think Iowa State could, and I truly believe that. I think it will definitely come down to some great moments. And yeah, I believe Iowa State should not only win the game, but I think that they will win the game. So yeah, I got Iowa State as well. And yeah, Anthony, it's back to you, my friend.
All right, MF. We got 3 more 12 noon games left. And we move on to the number 17 SMU Mustangs at home at Gerald J. Ford Stadium. And they're going to be hosting the Baylor Bears. And you can actually find this game over on the CW. The CW, they will have this game, and on that call, it'll be Rick Allen and Will Blackman. And SMU opening up as only a 2.5 point favorite here. So MF, number 17 SMU at home against Baylor. Trap game, maybe?
Definitely trap game. No doubt about that. Could it lead to a bigger ups? Could it lead to an upset? Very possible. You never know. But at the end of the day, I think it's gonna be uh, honestly, Anthony, I don't believe we're gonna get the upset here, but it definitely could be an upset. But I think SMU is gonna get the job done. I just feel like they're gonna, Baylor is good, but SMU wants to show that last year was not a fluke. I think SMU is gonna get the win, and they're gonna get the job done. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be close, but I do got them winning. So Florio, it's yours.
If that version of the Baylor defense shows up again, it's not going to be competitive. Auburn. Listen to this. Auburn hung 307 rushing yards on Baylor in a 38-24 win. I'm inclined to believe it was a wild outlier, but SMU is still a slight favorite this weekend. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, and I think SMU is going to outlast Baylor 36-33. Give me SMU over Baylor. Moving on to our next 12 noon game. I think we have 2 left. We have the now number 23 Indiana Hoosiers at home at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. And they're going to be hosting the Owls of Kennesaw State. And you can find this game over on FS1, Fox Sports 1. And on the call for that game will be Tim Brando, Devin Gardner, and Josh Sims. And Indiana, well, I only have the over-under. The over-under is set at 52.5. I don't have a spread, but you got to imagine Indiana's got to be a sizable favorite. You would have to imagine. So, with that being said, Indiana gave up 2 long touchdown runs to Old Dominion, and those breakdowns can be crushing when it's opposite higher competition. The Hoosiers have a chance to clean it up against Kennesaw State, which nearly upset Wake Forest, but probably doesn't have the offense to stay with the Hoosiers. I got Indiana rolling. I think Indiana wins this one going away. 38-10. Indiana over Kennesaw State. MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, I believe Indiana's going to win as well. I think it's just going to be it's going to be an interesting game, but I just don't see it being anything more than that. So yeah, give me Indiana to win, and Floyo's back to you.
And we have one last 12 noon game to get into. The now number 24 Texas Tech Red Raiders, once again at home at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. And they're going to be hosting the Golden Flashes of Kent State. And believe it or not, you can actually find this game over on TNT. Yeah, TNT's going to have this game. On the call for this one will be J.B. Long and Mike Golick Jr. And Texas Tech opening up as a 48.5 point favorite. MF, Texas Tech, 48.5 against Kent State on TNT.
Yeah, there's really not much to say, man. Texas Tech, that That's such a ridiculous number, bro. I just can't say anything more. So, nope. I think Texas Tech is going to get the job done. I think they're going to win this game. Um, when you're a 48.5 point favorite, yeah, there's nothing more to add there. So, yep. So, Anthony, it's yours.
The classic case of good news, bad news. The good news is, congratulations, Kent State. They snapped a 21-game losing streak in a win over lower division Merrimack. The bad news is, you got to travel to Texas Tech and go up against an offense. Listen to this, MF. That surpassed 600 yards and scored 67 points last week.
Oof. Yeah.
Need I say more?
No more need. Nothing else needed.
Texas Tech all day. 56-10. Texas Tech all over Kent State. And with that, it's not often we get these kind of kickoffs, but listen to this. We got a 12:45 kickoff. That's right, 12:45. And this will be over on the SEC network. The number 19, Texas A&M Aggies, once again at home at Kyle Field in College Station. And they're going to be hosting the Aggies of Utah State. And you can find this game over on the SEC network with Taylor Zarzar, Matt Stinchcomb, and Alyssa Lang. And Texas A&M opening up as a 31.5-point favorite. A&M fans are ready for a revenge game at Notre Dame next week, but Texas A&M must focus on Utah State. Shoring up a run defense that surrendered 203 yards to UTSA should be the Aggies' top priority this weekend. I think they'll get it done. I think they'll handle their business. 41-17, Texas A&M all over Utah State. And MF, like I said, Texas A&M cannot look past Utah State because we all know next week they go to South Bend against Notre Dame in one of the games of the week next week.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. I'm going to say it. I think it has to be Texas Tech. And obviously you want to play smart. You don't want to get yourself in trouble here. But I do believe Texas Tech will get the job done. And when they win, that's really going to help them out down the line. So, yeah, no doubt about it here. So, Texas Tech should win. Nothing to say. Florio, go.
Are you ready for the 3:30 action, MF?
Yes, let's do it.
We got 6 of them. We got 6 3:30 games, and we're starting it off with the number 1 team in all the land, the new number 1 team in the land, your reigning, defending, undisputed college football playoff national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes, once again at home at the Horseshoe, Ohio Stadium in Columbus, on the Big Ten Network hosting the Grambling State Tigers. And on the call for that game, it will be Jeff Levering and Jake Butt. No spread. So not much more to say. MF, I think we all know why Ohio State is number 1. Look who they beat, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And it wasn't really the most offensive explosion. It was the defense. The defense of Ohio State with Matt Patricia, formerly from the NFL, leading the charge on this defensive wire, and they absolutely dominated. There's nothing to say. This was an incredible performance by Ohio State. They deserve to get the number 1 spot. And now we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, this was a dominant performance. So yeah, nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Before I give you my thought, last week, the Ohio State Texas game, massive success on television, becoming the most watched week 1 college football game in history with an average of 16.62 million viewers on Fox. The game also set records in college football rankings, with Ohio State rising to the number 1 spot in the CBS Sports 136 rankings after their win. Game drew 16.62 million viewers, record for a week one college football game. The audience peaked at 18.6 million viewers during the second half. Game is the third most watched regular season college football game ever on Fox. Yeah, you heard me. Third most watched regular season game on Fox ever. How about that? And the viewership numbers for this matchup surpassed any regular season college football game from the previous year. That's impressive. Also impressive was Ohio State. And I'll be honest, I was expecting a somewhat high-scoring game. I was. But when the game ended the way it did, I know MF had that Cheshire cat-like grin because MF, we all know how much you love your defensive battles. And
yeah, I did.
You got one. Oh, you got one. So, but anyways, getting to this here. Okay. This is an ideal encore for the Buckeyes, who spent the whole summer preparing for and thinking about a showdown with Texas. Every opponent must be respected, but Ohio State should be more relaxed when it hosts FCS school Grambling. Ohio State wins this one going away, 59-7. The Ohio State University all over Grambling on Saturday. Grambling State, that is. All right, moving on to over on to our next 3:30 game. They moved up a spot from last week. They started at 5. They moved up to 4. The number four, Maiden Georgia Bulldogs, once again at home at Athens State at Sanford Stadium in the Hedges in Athens, Georgia, welcoming the Governors of Austin Peay. And this will be over on the SEC Network. And on the call for that one, well, SEC Network Plus and ESPN Plus. Clay Matvick squaring off against Chase Daniel. Well, Clay Matvick, rather. Yeah, Clay Matvick and Chase Daniel. They're going to be on the call for that game. And no spread, so I don't think we need one because Georgia's going to be a sizable favorite, of course. Last weekend, Austin Peay earned its first win over an FBS opponent since 1987 in a strong 34-14 rout of Middle Tennessee. Georgia will not be so kind. Georgia absolutely rolls in this one. 48-7, Georgia all over Austin Peay. Not much more to say. MF, Maiden Georgia Bulldogs, number 4. Back at home yet again, another home game in the Hedges in Athens. And they got the Governors of Austin Peay coming in for a 3:30 game on Saturday. 48-7, Maiden Georgia Bulldogs all day. So, MF, whenever you're ready, your thoughts.
Yeah, no, Georgia Bulldogs, I think they should win this one and win this one pretty comfortably. So really nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, nothing left to say on that one. Moving on. Let's see, who do we got next on the docket for the 3:30s? How about the Big Ten on CBS? Big Ten on CBS. A little better game for Brad and Gary, but not overly exciting. This is another one of those sleeper type matchups. The now number 6 Oregon Ducks once again at home at Autzen Stadium in Eugene, and they're going to be hosting the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jenny Dell, the Big Ten on CBS crew as always. Oregon opening up as a 27.5-point favorite. MF, Oregon, up to number 6 now. They got OK State coming in. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be Oregon. You know, right now they're kind of trying to figure out their way. I think they're going to handle the business, and I think they're going to handle this pretty handily. So I got Oregon winning the game, and I really think it's going to be a good performance. So give me the Ducks. I think they're going to fly, and there's really nothing more to say. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Another good news, bad news situation here. The good news for Oklahoma State is the defense played well in a 27-7 win over UT Martin. The bad news is the offense was pretty mediocre. And the worst news is Oklahoma State has to take on a stout Oregon defense on Saturday. It would be surprising if this matchup is competitive in the fourth quarter. Oregon rolls 41-14, Oregon over Oklahoma State. We move on now to our next 3:30 game, and we feature the now number 8 Clemson Tigers back once again at home at Memorial Stadium in Clemson, Death Valley, and they're going to be hosting the Troy Trojans. And you can find this game over on the ACC network. Chris Cotter and Max Brown will be on the call, and Clemson opening up as a 30.5-point favorite. Unfortunately for Clemson, all that firepower on the Cade Klubnik-led offense had a quiet evening in their loss to LSU. It should make an appearance against Troy, though, in advance of a lurking ACC trip to Georgia Tech. Clemson, just like Texas, I think Clemson will bounce back. They'll get it right. 44-13, Clemson all over Troy. Nothing more to say. MF, Clemson, get right game for them against Troy after a tough luck loss to LSU in one of our triple main events last week.
Yeah, tough luck loss for them, and now they got to play, and now they get the men of Troy, and this is the perfect game to get right for them. Clemson should win this one. It's not a bad loss, and I know a lot of people were saying that the loss that they suffered is not a devastating loss. That they could easily get right back in there. One loss doesn't mean the end of the world. Depending on how bad you lose, could actually help you. So if this is the only loss they suffer for the rest of the way, if the committee turns around, they're like, you know what? They only lost by 3 to a very good LSU team. Now, if LSU needs to benefit by continuing a great run on their end, that will also bolster Clemson's case to be in the college football playoff. Because if they can go hand in hand, they could probably get in. But yeah, this is a get right. They should win this one. Nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
All right. Moving on. We have, let's see, 1, 2. I'm just checking my numbers here. Okay. I believe we have 2. I think we have 2 3:30 games left. And moving on now, we have the now number 20. Well, here's another one of the few rare good games of the week. The number 20 Ole Miss Rebels squaring off against the Kentucky Wildcats.
Joe Hendry just shows up
from Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky. This game can be found on ABC. And on the call for this game, it'll be Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, and Molly McGrath. And Ole Miss opening up as only an 8.5-point favorite. So not much more to say on that. So I believe, MF, this goes to you. Yes? I think you start this one off. Number 20, Ole Miss at Kentucky. Another one of the rare good matchups of this week 2. So let me just see. 6. All right, just give me 1 second here. Just checking some numbers. 9. 11, 12. Yeah. All right. I apologize here. I'm just trying to just crunch these numbers here. Make sure we're in the correct order here. Don't want to go out of order or anything here. Just bear with me for one moment here. 6. Okay. 10. 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep. Okay. Yeah, MF, it is you. Okay. MF leads off on this one. Number 20, Ole Miss at Kentucky, Kroger Field, Lexington, Kentucky. 3:30 on ABC. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, Molly McGrath. Ole Miss, 8.5-point favorite. Apologies for the little awkwardness there. So,
That's
all right,
fine.
MF. All right. Number 20, Ole Miss at Kentucky. Another one of the very few somewhat decent matchups this week.
Somewhat decent matchup, no doubt about it. And Kentucky always been notorious for being a very stingy team at home. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the job done. I don't know how this is going to play out. I kind of feel like maybe they can pull the upset, but I don't realistically see it's going to happen. I think Ole Miss is going to get the job done. I think they're going to win this game. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Kentucky's upset last season is part of the reason Ole Miss narrowly missed the college football playoff. So there is redemption at stake. Like MF said, Lexington is a tricky place to play, but a lackluster passing game looks problematic for Kentucky. I got Ole Miss winning this one. My final score, 31-16, Ole Miss over Kentucky. And we have one more 3:30 game here. The number 22 Tennessee Volunteers, their home opener at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. And they're going to be welcoming the Buccaneers of East Tennessee State. SEC Network Plus, ESPN Plus is where you can find this one. And it'll be Matt Schumacher and Dustin Fox on the call. No spread. Don't think it matters because Tennessee's a sizable favorite, you would have to imagine. Joey Aguilar. Remember that name, Joey Aguilar. Impressed in his Tennessee debut, affirming the Vols' place on the national radar. Beyond winning, the Vols' main objective in this game is staying healthy to take on Georgia at full strength next week. Think about that for a second. 52-6. I got Tennessee all over East Tennessee State. 52-6. Not much more to say. MF, we talked about it a little while ago. We'll bring it back up again. Tennessee, cupcake opponent. They can't look past them because next week, of course, another one of the big games of next week, Tennessee and Georgia. Whoa.
Yeah, Tennessee, Georgia is gonna be that one's gonna be wild. That's gonna get really rough. No doubt about it in my mind. Do I see an upset? No, not really. I see Tennessee handling their business, doing what they need to do, and I think they're gonna win this one going away. So I got the Vols winning this one. They had a good performance, not a great, but good performance, and I do believe it's gonna happen again. So really, nothing more to say. So Florio is yours.
Okay, and here's another rare kickoff time for you. How about a 4:15 kickoff? 4:15. And here's another sleeper game of the week right here. This is another sleeper matchup here. The now number 13 Florida Gators, once again at home at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville, Florida. And they're going to be welcoming the South Florida Bulls. And this game will also be on the SEC network. I think this is the main SEC network. Yes, it is. Main SEC network. Dave Neal and Fozzie Whitaker will have the call. Florida opening up as a 17.5-point favorite. So MF, number 13, Florida, welcoming South Florida. South Florida pulling the very first upset of the season when they smashed Boise State in the very first game of last week.
Yeah, it was a shocking beat down, to say the very least. I think none of us saw that coming. But it is what it is. I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup, to say the very least. And I believe it's going to be a Boise. I think it's going to be very telling is how does Boise react? Do they, where's their head at, after that shocking defeat? Are they going to be focused? Are they going to be ready? Are they going to be, better than where they were last week? Or, are we going to see something even worse? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I honestly, this is Utah. So it's Utah and Cal Poly, right?
No. This is number 13 Florida at home against South Florida.
All right. So South Florida was the one that stunned. They
Boise.
stunned a lot of people with the Boise, and they dominated. But you're going up against the Gators, and the Gators, they chomped for 55. They double nickeled.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. I mean, you never know. South Florida maybe could pull an upset here, but honestly, truthfully, we're talking about one of the stalwarts in the SEC. We're talking about a team that's won back-to-back national championships. So, I don't see it. I don't see an upset here. Florida wins easy. Florida, go.
As trips to LSU and Miami peek over the horizon, Florida cannot afford to lose focus. South Florida just steamrolled Boise State behind dual threat quarterback Byron Brown, who presents a tough matchup for the Florida defense. Florida is the clear favorite, but USF, South Florida, may hang around into the fourth quarter. I'm going with Florida to win this one. 36-20, Florida over South Florida. MF, now this was the game you were thinking about. 6 o'clock kickoff, ESPN Plus. The number 25 Utah Utes with their home opener at one of our favorite venues, Rice Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And they're going to be hosting the Mustangs of Cal Poly. And you can find this one on ESPN Plus with Mark Neely and Barrett Brooks. And there is no spread. You got to imagine Utah's got to be a sizable favorite here.
Big favorite, yes.
Devon Dampier had a tremendous debut for Utah, a new arrival to the top 25. Cal Poly, which finished 3-8 last season, is unlikely to match the Utes' skill. Utah wins this one going away, 42-14. Utah over Cal Poly. Now you can get into an MF.
Yeah, it's going to be Utah. I really got not much to say on it. I kind of went a little bit ahead of myself on that one. My bad. Sorry, folks. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, no worries. It happens. And now I do believe this is where we get into the primetime games now. Yes. Okay. I believe we have 6 games left on this docket before we get to the Chief Charger preview in a little bit. 7 o'clock. And we started off with the now number 5 Miami, Florida Hurricanes, the U. Once again at the Hard Rock Stadium. And they're going to be welcoming the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman. And you can find this game over on ACC Network X and ESPN Plus with Mike Corey and Tyoka Jackson. No spread. And quite frankly, doesn't need a spread. You know what's going to happen here. So, MF, we all know your loyalty, your forever loyalty is with Michigan. But right behind Michigan, you also have a major love for the Miami Hurricanes. And Miami, last Sunday night, they beat Notre Dame. And that's why they're in the top 5.
Yeah, and the thing is, they, for most of the game, they dominated Notre Dame. I think we all can agree. I think Notre Dame made that valiant comeback that almost stole the game, and credit to Notre Dame for hanging tough and doing what they did, because, I think a lot of people thought they were dead in the water early on. And then they made that comeback, that furious comeback, and they almost won it. So props to Notre Dame for, for doing what they did. But yeah, but I think Miami's gonna dominate this game. They're gonna be riding this high for a little bit. So nothing more to say. Florio, what's yours?
Not that anyone anticipates a close game, but Thune Cookman just ceded 223 yards and six touchdowns to Florida International's rushing attack. Trying to handle Miami's elite offensive line and deep backfield will not be fun. Miami rolls. It's the U. 56-0. 56-0. Miami all over Bethune Cookman. The other 7 o'clock game will be over on the SEC network, and it features the now number 10 South Carolina Gamecocks, their home opener at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, and they're going to be welcoming the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. And you can find this game on SEC Network Plus and ESPN Plus with Kevin Fitzgerald and Charles Arbuckle. No spread, doesn't need it. After a quality win over Virginia Tech to begin the season, South Carolina will quickly move to 2-0 before playing its 8 SEC games in a row. South Carolina all over South Carolina State, 52-10. Not much more to say. MF, South Carolina in the top 10 after their quality win over Va-Tech last week in Atlanta.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think South Carolina is, I think they're gonna get the job done. So yeah, give me Carolina to win it, and Florio is yours.
Oh, give me 1 second here. Okay. We got 3 7:30 games. And, 3 7:30 matchups. And we're going to start it off with the now number 3 LSU Tigers. Their home opener, Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, welcoming the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech. This will be over on the SEC network. And on the call for that game will be, well, this is SEC Network Plus and ESPN Plus. Jay Alter, Rocky Boyman. They'll be on the call. LSU opening up as a 37.5 point favorite. MF, LSU, another one of the big winners of last week. Top 3? How about that?
Yeah, they did. LSU definitely proved themselves worthy on that one. They did what they had to do. They handled their business. They won the game, and they did exactly what they needed to do. So, yeah, nothing more to say. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch. But, yeah, LSU did it, and, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Even if you believe in a hangover game, LSU should not be in much danger. Louisiana Tech, they did blank Southeast Louisiana last week, but they only gained 262 yards total. Hard to see LSU having a problem early in the second half. All LSU here, 48-10, LSU all over Louisiana Tech. Also, okay. This is another one of those sleeper matchups here. 7:30 kickoff over on ESPN2. And it will feature the now number 12 Arizona State Sun Devils on the road against the Mississippi State Bulldogs from Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field in Starkville. You can find this game on ESPN2 with Dave Fleming and Brock Osweiler. I believe Cherie Burris is their sideline reporter. I do believe. And we have Arizona State opening up as only a 6.5 point favorite. So, so not much more to say on that. So we find it here. Okay. Although the result was never in question, Arizona State had a little more trouble dispatching Northern Arizona than expected. Penalties were the main culprit, and a similar performance in Starkville would make Arizona State especially vulnerable to an upset. But I'm going with Arizona State to win. Close game. I think Arizona State will steal one in Starkville, 27-20. Arizona State over Mississippi State. Not much more to say. MF, how's this for a sleeper?
Yeah, no, this is gonna be very interesting to see, to say the very least. The way that this thing played out, no doubt, but I don't know. I feel like Arizona State kind of feel comfortable enough that maybe an upset's possible, but we'll see how it plays out. But you know, uh, yeah, really nothing more to add. So, Florio, it's yours.
You ready for the main event, MF?
Let's do it.
This is the one I know you've been chomping at the bits for. If only there wasn't one other game, we could have literally said the main event is closing this show out. Well, closing out this portion of it anyways.
Yeah.
7:30, the ABC Saturday night game of the week, far and away. The number 15 Michigan Wolverines on the road against the number 18 Oklahoma Sooners from the Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. If it's the ABC Saturday night game of the week, you already know who's doing it. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe, and Oklahoma opening up as a 5.5 point favorite. We got a bit of a buddy bowl here. MF and Michael Bullock representing the Michigan Wolverines, going up against our dear friends Didi and Kevin Woodson and the Oklahoma Sooners. This is I'll tell you what, this has been a very week of games, but I'm so glad that we at least got one marquee main event matchup. MF, two of the all-time great programs in the history of college football. Michigan, Oklahoma, in Norman, two former multi-time national champions. Michigan last winning it 2 years ago. Oklahoma hasn't won it in a quarter century, 25 years since Bob Stoops took Oklahoma to their last title, 2000, 2001. So, but anyways, it's you and Bullock for Michigan, Didi and Kevin Woodson for Oklahoma, Buddy Bowl. Far and away the game of the week, Michigan and Oklahoma, two of the all-time greats under the lights on Saturday night on ABC. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. There's no doubt about it. You cannot pick anything better than to do a big game like this. And yeah, this is going to be very interesting to watch. So nothing more to say. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah. Look, Michigan started out really well. Then it started to, I don't want to say started to cause a little bit of some friction, but it did cause a lot of interesting parts, to say the very least. But, at the end of the day, I thought it could have been something very interesting. And we're talking about Michigan. Michigan did really well. They got a big game. They got a big win against New Mexico. They took on the Lobos and handled their business. And Oklahoma, they handled theirs. Slow start by the Wolverines, but then they finished pretty strong. So we know we got to start out and play basically four great quarters to try to win this game. Is it possible? Absolutely. It's possible for us to see Michigan win the game, but this is going to be a tough, tall order to ask for. Can they do it? Maybe, but we'll see. Like I said, this is going to be very interesting to watch. So, Anthony, I think Michigan can do it. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it though. That's the problem. So it's yours.
So you're going with?
Oh, I think Michigan's going to win.
Oklahoma?
I got Michigan
okay.
winning, but it's not going to be an easy game.
Not at all. Not at all. In the featured game of the weekend, Michigan coach Sharon Moore leads the Wolverines to his alma mater. This is a tone-setting game for both Michigan freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood and Oklahoma standout John Mateer as they adjust to their new environments. I respectfully disagree with you, MF. I'm actually leaning towards Oklahoma because of Mateer's experience. However, if the Wolverines do steal this one, if the Wolverines do win this one, expect the hype around Underwood to skyrocket. This will be far and away the game of the week. I can't wait to actually see this. I got Oklahoma winning this one. 27-23. Oklahoma defeats Michigan. But would I be surprised if Michigan stole one here? No. Well, we'll see what happens. Final game of the week. 7:45 kickoff over on the SEC network. The now number 21 Alabama Crimson Tide. Their home opener at Nick Saban Field at Bryce Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. And they are going to be welcoming the Warhawks of Louisiana Monroe. And you can find this game over on the SEC network, the main SEC network, with Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, and Cole Kubelik. Alabama opening up as a 35.5-point favorite. It's got to be Bama. It's got to be. After they got embarrassed, as MF would say, they got punched in the mouth and then some against Florida State. In reality, Alabama, I'm going to be honest with you. In reality, Alabama doesn't even deserve a spot in the AP Top 25 following its drubbing at Florida State. However, it narrowly avoided being unranked for the first time since 2007. Can you imagine that? 2007, last time they were unranked. And they should stay in the poll after what I believe should be a comfortable win over Louisiana Monroe, which you may recall Louisiana Monroe actually beat Alabama in that same 2007 season. God help us all if lightning strikes twice again. But I don't think it will. I'm going to go with Bama. I think they'll get it right. Bama should get this one. They should win this one comfortably, 42-14. But like I said, MF, God forbid if lightning strikes twice like it did in 07.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. If lightning strikes twice, man, oh my Lord, we got problems. But yeah, no. I believe it's gonna be Bama. They're gonna win this one. Yeah. You started yelling the next victim card, and I think you may have jinxed it the first time around, but I think they're gonna get it this time. So Bama should win and win this one pretty comfortably. So yeah, nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
All right, MF, and well, we actually have one other order of business here. Now, we do need to address something real quick. We actually still have a game in progress. The Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, after a very lengthy weather delay.
I think it was over an hour.
Yeah.
I think the delay was over an hour, if I remember correctly.
There was rain, there was lightning, and the whole nine. They're finally back playing the fourth quarter. The Philadelphia Eagles leading the Dallas Cowboys 24-20. And we'll see how the rest of that plays out on NBC and Peacock, of course. And we're not done. We have another game that's going to take place tomorrow night. And this is pretty cool. How cool is this? For the first time ever, an NFL game will be exclusively broadcast right here on YouTube. How awesome is that?
Yep.
Not only that, but as MF, I'm going to give you another MF expression. It's on the house. Yeah. So, and oh, by the way, when it comes to our side of the ledger, this is our number 2 game of the week. From the Corinthians Arena in Sao Paulo, Brazil, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on YouTube. But wait, and this is only for the people of Kansas City and Los Angeles. If you can't, if you don't, for those of you who may not have YouTube or anything like that, and you want to watch it on your own TVs, you can do just that on your respective NBC affiliates. For Kansas City, that is, of course, KSHB, NBC Channel 41 in Kansas City. And for LA, that, of course, is KNBC, NBC Channel 4 in the City of Angels. So with that being said, Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers, Corinthians Arena, Sao Paulo, Brazil. And on the call, Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner, Stacey Dales, and a guest correspondent. They actually have another reporter here, and it's this gentleman. I know it's I know his name is Donald. I know that for a fact. I know the man's name is Donald. But I do know Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner will have the call. Stacey Dales is going to be the sideline reporter, and I know they have another one there. I know his name is Donald. I'll get it. I'll get that in just a moment. So there you have it. The Chiefs and the Chargers, our number 2 game of the week. I'll get that in a second. Let's set everything up here. Kansas City, no surprise, opening up as the favorite, but only a slim favorite, 3-point favorite, as a matter of fact, 3-point favorite. And the Chiefs lead the all-time series 71-57 with a tie. Last season, they played close games both ways. I believe the Chargers are technically the home team here. And when they played in LA last year, Kansas City won 17-10. Matter of fact, this has been a pretty one-sided rivalry. The Chiefs have actually won 7 straight meetings against the Chargers. The Chargers haven't beaten the Chiefs since they won in Arrowhead in 2021. So we'll see what happens here. So with that being said, let's dive on in to this matchup here. So okay. Chiefs and Chargers, number 2 game of the week on our side of the ledger. And the Chiefs and Chargers open in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The Chargers have a revamped running game with rookie Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris. Justin Herbert averaged 196 yards with 2 touchdowns to Kansas City last season. He'll have to take more risks to beat the Chiefs here. In a game with a lot of field goals, Patrick Mahomes makes the plays down the stretch to secure a 1-score victory. And I got to go with KC. I think. Would I be surprised? Would I be surprised if the Chargers win? I wouldn't, because there's a lot. There's actually some expectations with the LA Chargers here. I mean, some of the experts even have them winning the division, which I thought was okay. Wow. The Chiefs will be ready for the Chargers being stronger challengers with the defense and running game as the foundation, but Kansas City can counter with its strong overall D and get Patrick Mahomes to make a few more clutch plays late than Justin Hurt. I'm going to go 24-20. Kansas City defeats the LA Chargers in Brazil. So not much more to say. MF, if it wasn't for the game that we've got on Sunday night, this would have been our game here. But Chiefs and Chargers, always fun when they get together. But this time around in Brazil for our number 2 game of the week.
Woo. Yeah, absolutely. This is gonna be a great matchup to say the very least. And with the Chargers, they've always been Kansas City's Achilles heel. They've always given them problems. It doesn't matter how they play. They always try to be like a thorn in the side of them. And every year they get annoyed. Kansas City knows how to handle this team. They feel like they can definitely do it, but can they really on a given stage? I don't know. We'll see. But I'll say this: I like the chances, but I'm also with you, Anthony. I kind of feel like Kansas City just is gonna find out they figure out a way to win. You know, it's not the most glamorous performance, it's not the greatest performance, but they just figure out a way to win. I think Patrick Mahomes is on a revenge tour now. He felt embarrassed after what happened at the Super Bowl. You know, there's a lot of players in Kansas City that feels like they've been slighted by the media, by everybody, because of the fact of that, you know, everybody was, let's just say, salivating, or they were very happy at the Chiefs' demise at the Super Bowl. And I really believe Kansas City probably saw all this, everything from the media, from us, from everybody who piled on Kansas City. And they are probably thinking, oh, yeah? Okay. Now everybody's going to get it. I think Kansas City is going to do a New England Patriot-like revenge tour. They are going to take it out on every team standing in their way. And it starts with the Chargers tomorrow night in Brazil. I believe Kansas City will win. And I think it's going to be at least a double-digit victory. I think they're going to win this by at least 14 points. Something like a 35-21 type affair. Because I think Mahomes is definitely on a mission. I think Travis Kelce, I think he's going to feel like, look, last year wasn't my best year. I get it. I understand it. But now I am focused. Everything is there. You know, yes, the Taylor thing. Yes, everything's going on. But I am focused. He looks great. Travis Kelce looks like he's lost some weight. He looks slimmer. And he looks faster now. Believe it or not. That might be dangerous now. So we'll see. But yeah, I got nothing more to say. Kansas City wins. Anthony, let's call it a night.
And that other individual who will be at that game, in addition to Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner, and Stacey Dales, he's a YouTuber. His name is Donald DeLahaye, known as Destroying. That's who's going to be there. So he's going to be a sideline creator, from what I'm reading here. So Donald DeLahaye, known as Destroying, he's a YouTuber, and he'll be a part of that game tomorrow night. So, all right. So with that, that'll put the bow on this week 2 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, as always. We will be back with you again tomorrow night at 10:30, right back here on the Tone 25 for the season premiere of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We'll do some quick recaps of the Cowboys, Eagles, and time permitting, Chiefs and Chargers, depending on if the game's still going or not. It probably will be. So we'll get into that, and then we'll get into all of the exciting games of week number 1 headlined by our game of the week, the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. That's the big one. But we have some other exciting games that we're going to get into as well tomorrow night. And we look forward to that. And that'll be tomorrow. And then Saturday, the all-new, for during football season anyway, the all-new Cerebral Smack Talk, Saturday night Cerebral Smack Talk with MF. We got TNA Impact, which was a live show tonight, by the way, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But we're going to be talking about the most anticipated SmackDown in recent memories. Not just because of John Cena, but of course the rumor of a certain crazy chick returning. And now the rumor going around today is that a certain beast, a certain alpha male of our species could be there as well. And if that's the case, look out. You're not going to want to miss this show tomorrow night. Well, SmackDown anyways. TNA Impact, Friday night SmackDown. That'll be the docket for Saturday. And then Tuesday, of course, we got Ridiculously Raw. And then 1 week from tonight, the week 3 edition of College Football Thursday. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's a much better slate next week. Let's whet your appetite with Wisconsin versus Alabama. How about that? And then, of course, the game of the week, it looks like the game of the week is going to be Georgia squaring off against Tennessee. And, of course, we've also got Texas A&M against Notre Dame. Oh, how about Florida against LSU? We got a much better slate of games next week. That's literally 4 main eventers right there. So we got a much better slate of games next week. Yeah, there'll be some S in there, but we got some goodies next week, and I can't wait to get into the slate next week. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the season premiere of NFL Friday, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock, and of course, always and forever, our First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it a Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday, and until tomorrow night, for the season premiere of TXN Sports World NFL Friday, you have been watching the Week 2 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday, right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamer.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.